Now to the UK, where the co-owner of Manchester United and one of Britain's richest men, Jim Ratcliffe, has apologised for his choice of language in remarks he made about immigration. The billionaire said the UK had been colonised by immigrants and gave incorrect population numbers. The British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, described the claims as offensive and wrong and had called on him to apologise. Some fan groups of Manchester United also condemned the comments, saying that no fan should feel excluded from following or supporting the club because of their race, religion, nationality, or background, and that comments from the club's senior leadership should make inclusion easier, not harder. Other anti-discrimination groups called the comments disgraceful and deeply divisive, with one suggesting that Mr. Ratcliffe should understand that his ancestors colonized most of the world. Therefore, he should not be angry when immigrants come to the UK. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now on the line from London by Arise correspondent Lape Olarinoye. Good to see you, Lape. So Jim Ratcliffe has said sorry, but he hasn't apologized as such for interfering in the debate, has he? All he said was that he was sorry if the kind of language he used offended people.
Yeah, Charles, it's that typical comment of sorry, not sorry. He did say, even within his apology, that this is a conversation that should still be open to debate. But as you can imagine, it's been met with a lot of criticism from not just the sporting world, but from the widest political sphere. Of course, as you mentioned there in your intro, that Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who is a frequent ally of Mr. Ratcliffe, has come out publicly earlier today to state that he should apologise for causing so much offence. And it's the language that's used. It's the terms of, colonised by immigrants. And it's ironic because of Britain's history with colonising somewhat the whole world. So the irony of that has been picked up by a lot of football fans, a lot of the wider British public, people from ethnic minority groups, and so on. And it has been met with a lot of criticism, particularly because of his position of power, and more importantly, the fact that Mr. Ratcliffe earlier in 2024 decided to be domiciled as a tax paying member of the public, no longer in the UK, but to Monaco, which has a very lower tax bracket. And so to publicly criticise the UK's economy, for many, seems very ironic.
Indeed. And of course, his remarks, have once again opened up this huge question that won't go away about immigration and social cohesion in Britain. Is there a sense that even though immigration is something many voters are concerned about in the UK, it seems that many public figures and politicians really struggle to talk about it in a measured way?
Absolutely. I think that's a really important note you make there, Charles, but it's slowly becoming a divisive topic, a topic that many people feel as though that they can publicly now comment on, whether you're in a private or a public space, and which is why we're seeing people like Sir Ratcliffe come out and make those off the cuff comments. In fact, Nigel Farage, the growing opposition leader here in the UK of the Reform Party, has, in no surprise, aligned with Mr. Ratcliffe. And it's worth noting here, Charles, that Ratcliffe has been a long-term supporter of the Labour Party, but in recent time, and I'm talking to do with the EU referendum, backed the vote to leave. So his political inclinations have always been there as quite divisive. But Britain is slowly becoming a space where people from on the right of the political spectrum feel as though they've been unheard, they feel forgotten about, and there's becoming a growing voice. And that voice has been led with, the calls for immigration to be reviewed, border force and border controls to be reviewed and met with a harsher hand. We've seen that even with the incumbent party, the Labour Party, who have taken harsher, hardline measures to combat illegal and legal migration. The focus, though, seems to be on a lot more legal migration. So there are more voices coming out of the political space, the business world, and further afield on how the UK handles its immigration policies.
And just give us some background about Jim Ratcliffe. I mean, who is he and where did he make all his money? I understand he's one of the richest people in Britain, worth about £17 billion or about $23 billion.
Certainly. I think many people, as a result of this story, think he's directly linked to football. And in fact, no, he's just diverted his funds there. He comes from a relatively working class background, but he was able to study chemistry at university, which, of course, led him into the world of chemistry and petrochemicals. He is, of course, CEO of Ineos, a petrochemical company, and he has invested and grown his funds significantly from there. Of course, as a result of making all that money, he decided that he was going to purchase in 2024 27.7% of Man United shares, something that has been met with some controversy. Not a lot of fans are impressed with his profile and his person, and there have been calls for that to be reviewed. And so that's what kind of led him into the football world. It's also worth adding here, Charles, that he is known to be one of Britain's highest taxpayers. That's all changed since 2024 because he's now moved his tax earnings and tax information now to Monaco, which of course many people who earn a lot of money choose to do so to reduce how much they're being taxed by those governments. So he's largely from the science world, but making moves, business investment moves in other industries.
And briefly, Lape, in making these comments, would it be fair to say that Sir Jim Ratcliffe has fully inserted himself into the current political discourse and political debate in Britain?
Absolutely. I think this is the first time he's publicly kind of made those moves, but actually he has been a silent voice in politics in the UK. Like I said, he has been pictured with Keir Starmer. He has said that he is a strong backer of Keir Starmer. He's typically a Labour voter. In the past, though, of course, he voted to leave the EU and is now seems to have be in cahoots with Nigel Farage. This could be the beginning of what is to come with open political discourse at this level. But he is no stranger to politics, as are other businessmen. A lot of their business decisions, choices are very much determined by the politics of the country that they reside in. And this is, of course, an example of that. What is to come, though, is that there is a clear shift in how vocal people, whether they're kind of regular people or people in positions of power like Sir Ratcliffe, how vocal they are in political issues. The scope is definitely changing here in Britain, and immigration seems to be the integral part, the line of division for many people.
And there's been particular scrutiny of the figures he quoted in trying to make that point, hasn't there? He said that in 2020, there were 58 million people in the UK. Now there are 70 million, and that's 12 million people coming in over the last 5 years. But that's not right, is it? Because official figures show that the population was 67 million in 2020. So that's an increase of 3 million in the last 5 years or so, not 12 million, briefly.
Yes, that has been out and observed quite quickly that those figures were massively inflated. And it hasn't been pulled up on it just yet. It's following that interview. But what's important to note here, Charles, is that this is part of the wider kind of exaggeration of figures. He's not the only one to exaggerate figures or get them completely wrong when talking about immigration. There seems to be a lot of that being fueled and used to